Hello friends, welcome to Awdhesh Academy. Friends, we know that unemployment is one of the major problems of India, and this problem is continuously increasing. In the time of coronavirus, COVID-19, this problem has magnified in a large proportion. But even before this, there was huge unemployment in our country. And this is happening despite India being one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So today we are going to discuss an essay which was on this topic, and the topic is Near Jobless Growth in India, an Anomaly or an Outcome of Economic Reform. So friends, this is a very interesting topic and also a very relevant topic, and on this topic we will write the essay today. Let us now do the brainstorming of the topic, because from brainstorming we will be generating lots of ideas, and when we will expand those ideas, our answers will be written. So the first question is, what is the meaning of jobless growth? Here we can define jobless growth. Is jobless growth is due to anomaly? So we know that the jobs are not being created. Is it because of some sort of anomaly, not collecting the data or something like that? Or is jobless growth is an outcome of economic reforms? Are there data showing jobless growth? Then what are those data? And what are the reasons for jobless growth? And then how we can increase the job opportunities in India? So friends, these are some of the relevant questions whose answers, when we write, we get the answer of this particular question or our essay is complete. Now, first of all, we will define the meaning of the important terms, that is jobless growth and anomaly. Jobless growth can be defined as following. Jobless growth is a situation wherein the overall economy shows an expansion, but the number of jobs created is very less or nil in comparison to the growth rate of the overall economy. So we know that India is one of the fastest growing economy. We have been growing 7%, 8%, but the jobs are not increasing. So that is the meaning of jobless growth. That means when the economy is increasing, but the jobs are not rising in the same proportion, or they are not rising at all. Now, the second definition is of anomaly. Anomaly basically means a deviation from the common rule, type, arrangement, or form, an odd, peculiar, or strange condition, situation, or quality, an incongruity or inconsistency. Now, you don't have to remember this definition so accurately, that's not important for us, but we have to understand what is the meaning of anomaly. The anomaly is basically means that there is a common rule, that means everywhere else, for example, economy growth means job growth, but in India it is not happening. So if it is relating to that, that is basically called anomaly. Now let us go for writing the essay. First, we will talk about the introduction part of the essay. And in the introduction part, we can start with the following sentences, or these are the ideas which you can use. For example, we all know that India is the fastest growing major economy in the world with over 7% growth rate of GDP. We have even surpassed China in recent times. There are almost 13 million people who are entering into the job market every year. And over 5 million men lost job between 2016 and 2018, according to Azim Premji University Center for Sustainable Employment report recently. So on one side, we are seeing that every year 13 million people are entering into the job market. On the other side, the net jobs are not growing. As a matter of fact, 5 million people have lost their jobs during 2016 and 2018 itself. And the rate of unemployment has doubled in the last one decade from 3% to 6%. And today the unemployment rate is at 45 years high. And this is the rate before the COVID-19. Now, of course, the unemployment rate is over 20%. And I hope that this is only a temporary phenomena. And after this distress time is over, we'll get back to the normal times. So friends, here in the introduction part, we have used the statistics. And through the statistics, we have started our introduction. This is a good method to start introduction when you are writing essay on such topic. Now let's come to the body of the essay. First, we will talk about the trends of unemployment in India. Now, here we'll present some statistics because statistics are the best method to write essay in this particular type of essay topic. As per National Sample Survey Office data, the number of persons in the workforce increased from 398 million in the year financial year 2000 to 458 million in the financial year 2005, which was an increase of nearly 60 million or 15% in 5 years. So there we have seen that in 5 years, the number of jobs which has increased is 15%. Now let's fast forward it and see what is happening after that. The increase between the financial year 2005 and financial year 2012 has been only 473 million. That is an increase of 15 million or 3.3% over a span of 7 years. So we can understand here that on 7 years, the job increase is only 3.3%. While earlier, just on 5-year period, we had the job increase which was 15%. So that shows that the job creations are continuously declining. So in this way, we can establish that job creations are actually declining. Then in this period, that is 2005 and 2012, there has been decline in workforce in the agriculture and allied sector by over 36 million or 3.6 crores. In the non-agriculture sector, the job has increased by 51 million, where industry and services contribution has been 31 million and 20 million respectively. So as we can see that 36 million jobs decline in the agriculture sector and 51 million jobs increase in the non-agriculture sector. So in a way, it is a good sign that more jobs has been created in the non-agriculture sector because there we have more opportunities, better income. But the thing is that even this job creation is pretty low. So India is witnessing a jobless growth despite almost 7% growth in the GDP. So from this analysis, we can see that the growth rate is very, very small. It is hardly 1%. While the number which we require is much, much higher. And so the job creation has been very, very slow. Now, why this is happening? When the economy is growing, why the jobs are not growing? And for that, we have to understand and explain the concept of employment elasticity. So what is employment elasticity? Employment elasticity is a measure of percentage change in the employment associated with 1% change in economic growth or the GDP. That means when the GDP increases by 1%, how much percentage of job is increased? So that is what is called employment elasticity. It basically indicates the ability of an economy to generate employment opportunities for its population as percentage of its growth process. So for example, if the GDP is rising by 7% and if employment elasticity is 1, that basically means that 7% new jobs should be coming every year. But unfortunately, that is not the situation. If you talk about the employment elasticity in India in the last decade declined from 0.44 in the first half of the decade 1999 to 2000 to 2004 and 5 to as low as 0.01 during the second half of the decade, that is 2004-5 to 2009-10. That means earlier when the GDP used to increase by 1%, then 0.44% of job opportunities used to increase. Now, after this period, when the GDP growth is 1%, the job growth is only 0.01%. So that means the new jobs are not being created. So high growth is thus a necessary condition but not a sufficient condition for increasing employment in the country. Now let us try to understand if the jobless growth is an anomaly or it is an outcome of economic reforms. So first let us talk about the economic reforms. There are many experts who believe that the jobless growth is the result of the economic reforms in which the India opened the market for the foreign companies and adopted the liberal import policies. As a result of that, a lot of manufacturing is taking place outside, and what is happening is that the jobs are not created in India. And so they believe that because of that, it has led to the closure of many local industries, and that has created huge unemployment. But this is only a part representation of the reality. The fact is that the new jobs which has been created in the IT sector, for example, or in many of the service sector, it is also because of the liberalization policy. And therefore, we cannot say that reforms are responsible for this. Yes, it has affected the job in certain areas, but it has created the job in some other areas as well. Now, some experts believe that there could be anomaly in the data collection process or the data which we have on the basis of which we are concluding that there is jobless growth. Some experts believe that the high number of unemployment is due to the fault in the data collection process in India. So why this happens? Because in India, 90% of the jobs are in the unorganized sectors. And the data collection mechanism in the unorganized sectors is not good. It does not accurately reflect the number of employment over there. Now, another anomaly is that the part of the growth rate which we are having in India may be the result of the growth of the commodity price, productivity, or the boom in the stock market evaluation. Or it could be because of the increase in the real estate prices, which is actually not leading to actual growth in the supplies. So if the stock market value is raised, it is speculative. In the same way, when the real estate prices are rising, doubling every couple of years, then that is also not leading to actual creation of any sort of jobs or any sort of opportunity. So this may be an anomaly. So these are the expert opinion. So while there may be some truth in that, the jobless growth which we are seeing is not accurately reflected because the data collection process may not be correct, but the same data collection process was used earlier and it was giving us the accurate results, so we can't blame it only on the anomaly. So now let's talk about the reasons for the slow growth of employment. Construction sector is undergoing depression. Then industrial growth has come down significantly. Then the third reason is that there has been increase in the imports. So when the imports are increasing, that means the manufacturing activity is done outside India, so the jobs are not available for the locals. No significant increase in the real export of goods and services. And exports has not been increasing because when the export increases, we create jobs in India. And there has been hardly any increase in the real export. The impact of demonetization on the informal sector is also one of the reasons for low creation of job, because demonetization has affected adversely the informal sector of our economy. The impact of GST on small scale industries, this is also one of the reasons, because earlier, like the manufacturing sectors were exempted up to 1.5 crore, now the exemption limit has been reduced to 20 lakhs. So the more and more companies are now under the tax net, and that has increased their tax liability and also the compliance cost. And so that is also one of the reasons for low job creation. Stagnation in the IT sectors, the demands are reducing. The companies which are working in India are mostly getting their jobs from European countries and American countries, and they are now going for protectionist policies. So there also there is a decline of the job opportunities. And protective measure which has been taken by US and other developed countries, and that is also reducing the requirement of the manpower in the IT sector. Now, in the next step, we can talk about the government steps which has been done for improving the employment. And here we can mention the following, and we can describe them in a little detail. That is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, that is MG Narega. Then we have Startup India, which has been promoted for entrepreneurship and that to create job. Then self-employment schemes like Mudra Yojana, different type of incentive and financial support which is given by the government. Then skill development like Skill India Mission, improve the quality of education, then focus on the vocational courses, then development of infrastructure like roads and power. So that is also creating a lot of job, and that government is being very proactive in that direction. Then public provision of social facilities, for example, health and education, their government is spending, and that is creating job. And then filling of the vacant post in the government organization. So these are the steps which the government is taking, and they should take more on this direction to create jobs in our country. Now in the final part, we can write the conclusion of that, and in the conclusion, the best thing is to suggest as to how we can improve the job opportunities. So the first thing we can suggest is self-employment. That means doing something of your own. Instead of looking for a job, you create job. Incentive and financial support to the entrepreneur, because the more entrepreneurs we have, the more industries we have, the more businesses we have, the more jobs will be created. Skill development is also one of the very important requirement, because our people are getting degrees but they don't have the requisite skill. So that should be our focus. Then improving the quality of education. We may be producing the largest number of engineers in the world, but the quality of our engineers is pretty poor, and therefore the quality of education is required to be improved, not only in engineering but in every other discipline also. We have to focus on the vocational courses where people can do something of their own. They can become a productive member of the society. For example, photography, video editing, and all those things they can do, and they can basically get some sort of jobs. Then increase spending by government for the development of infrastructure like roads and power. So if you spend more on the infrastructure, more jobs will be created, and it will have a long-term benefit to the country. We can also have public provision of social facilities like health and education. If the government spend more money on health and more money on education, that can create a large number of employment. We can also consider filling of the vacant post in government organizations. There are lakhs of posts in the government organizations which are lying vacant. If those posts are filled up, large number of jobs can be created. We can also increase the number of posts in the government departments like police, tax department, and judiciary, because these are the departments where if we post more number of people, if we have more number of the people over there, we can earn additional revenue, we can create better infrastructure, we can have much more good law and order, and we can have expeditious disposal of the cases. So that will improve the efficiency and pay for the extra manpower which we are going to employ. So friends, in this way we can give lots of suggestions, and if we implement those suggestions, we can create the employment scenario in our country. So that is how we can write the essay of this particular question, and we can conclude that it's not an anomaly that the jobs are not being created. It is a fact, and it is not because of the liberalization, but because we have not been focusing on the job creation, and this is the time that we should focus on the job creation, and we can improve the economy. And liberalization is not something which we have to go backward. We have to follow the liberalization. There is no option of going back to the earlier era. In this liberalization period itself, we can create large number of jobs. So please try writing an essay on this topic. Thank you very much.